Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, November 2nd, 2018. Happy Friday, everyone. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES, and what you'll notice here is that price has bounced pretty significantly here in overnight trading. Price rallied through two-day highs and through the 42 halves, and is now approaching the midpoint of the previous month's range already. That's a pretty aggressive squeeze that has occurred. Apple has already come out with earnings. We had others come out with earnings, and the result right now, at least net, is to the upside, breaking through two-day highs. Stop run day through that right now. Again, can price stay and hold above the 27.42 half? That's the key level there. If not, it could leave behind a rejection tail that could ultimately lead to a move down. But again, as we mentioned to begin the month, this is kind of the main pivot here. To push and close above that pivot would suggest that we could push back up toward recent support lows, which would be back toward 28.78 half. Anytime you're dealing with kind of the midpoint of this key range here, where you could see some chop, as we are seeing right now. So again, even any pullback into 27.0375 could be an opportunity to push this thing back toward 28.78 half and maybe into 3,000 to head into the end of the year. So with this squeeze right here being as good as it has been, any pullback now would likely be defended by those participants who have created the squeeze here, and those who have been left behind may want to defend as well. So any pullback to that zone could now, or rejection of any pullback now, could be a great opportunity for this thing to continue higher. But again, if there's any failure to hold that 42 half by the end of the day, that could be significant. So a great squeeze from Monday's low up to current prices. Can price continue to hold overall and change the direction of this trend, or will this be still another sell the rip opportunity? We'll continue to watch that. If you look here at the NQ, you'll see here price also has rallied back toward the midpoint of last month's range. The high being up there, the low here, and you can see we've gotten very, very close to reaching that midpoint already. And so again, when you tend to see that type of behavior in a downtrending market, it's usually the best opportunity for bears to defend and return back toward lows. So while the squeeze has been very solid, this is what you would expect heading into the new month. If price was going to go lower, you would want it to go higher first into the pivot range and then reject. So again, this doesn't necessarily have to continue much higher, but this is quite bullish compared to what we have been. 7,000 is going to be very, very important. Can price hold that zone? Can it hold the previous month's close? If not, that's where things start to fall apart to the downside. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. You'll see here with crude another major decline. We talked about the narrow range that had developed at lows the previous session, and by the afternoon we had a major breakout and continuation to the lower edge of this larger key range. That low edge is 63.41. So we had that low form at 63.41, price rallied up to 75.27 and then returned back to the midpoint of 69.34. Those three levels have been the most important levels of this chart here, and the fact that we are now at this low and had taken it out is very good. We are now at a zone where perhaps we could begin to see rejection and then perhaps a return back towards 69.34. It hasn't happened yet. We haven't seen rejection. We're holding at these lows again. Another narrow day for crude oil, 35% of ADR. It's been averaging about $1.97 per day. Right now it's at 69 ticks for the session. We do have a very, very good edge down here. So again, how much lower do we need to go before we see some sort of bounce? Theoretically speaking, we have a great LVN coming right here, and that would be the best zone. Got 62.70. So can price drop into 62.70 and reject it and leave behind a tail of some sort? That could be significant. That could be the beginning of a bounce back up. Any failure to hold 62.70 could open up much more weakness ahead. But again, remember, this is kind of an expanding range type of thing, and if price can get down here and hold for a bit but not continue lower, that could be a great opportunity to return it back up. So we'll continue to watch crude oil. If you take a look here at gold, Gold had a big day the previous session. I mentioned before that this might be the buy of the month, and all metals might do quite well this month here. But this has been a really good, well-developing bullish pattern from the rejection low to the absorption to the breakout and the hold of the retest. It all continues to flow within the bullish structure there. We have not been able to see any acceptance above 1240. That opens up much more upside. You are beginning to see a rounded formation on the bottom end of this range, which usually suggests a squeeze to come. So again, we could be looking at a major move higher, not just to value, but perhaps all the way back up to 310 and perhaps as high as 360, given how long this formation has developed and where it has developed. So if you were a part of our monthly market outlook that I hosted yesterday on the 1st of November, then you know that I mentioned that gold is probably going to be the buy of the month there, especially if it can get above that 1240 level. That could open up much more strength that could ultimately return prices back toward recent highs, much like what happened earlier in this year, where it spent much of the time at the upper end of the distribution, then auction lower. It has now spent much of the time at the lower distribution, and based off this rounded formation and how that 1240 level has cemented itself as a key zone, if it can get through that area, you start to auction back toward 360. So that could be pretty significant here. We'll see if that can take place. A failure to hold 1210 now would be significant and could open up a push all the way back toward 1120. So that's the failure point right there. Lastly, let's take a look at the YM. The YM is up big today. I wanted to show that this is the only one right now that's really pushing through its midpoint from the previous month already. So here it is. You see that high up here. You see this low. That's the midpoint of last month's range. And after breaking 2-day highs in overnight trading, we are well beyond it. Now, once we get up to this point right here, which is about 25.8, 850 or so, that is where we could begin to see some sort of resistance, right? And that could, theoretically speaking, swing it all the way back down. But any pullback into this 24,886 zone, just like we talked about with the ES coming back to 2703.75, this could still be a great opportunity to buy it and see if this thing can go much higher heading into the end of the year. So this is going to be a big area here that if we do pull back, bulls are going to want to keep that area bid. Maybe that area as high as 25K could be the zone here to watch should we see some sort of pullback. Right now, day trend up and continues to be bullish, so no signs of weakness just yet. All right, that is it for now. I did want to bring up one thing to your attention. If you go to pivotboss.com and click on the news, you come down here, you'll see PivotBoss Monthly Outlook has been posted. That's the recording. So it says here, the November 1st, you can click it, and when you come down to the bottom here, you can see the video's already posted there. It's a pretty long one. It's 90 minutes here, lots of great suggestions on what to look for in the chart. So we were looking at a lot of different things, including talking Apple and Tandem earnings. We talked about the CL. We talked about GC perhaps being the November buy opportunity. And then we also talked on a lot of different buy candidates as well. So check it out. Here's the recording. You can find it under the news tab labeled PivotBoss Monthly Outlook. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the day. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.